It's time for the Everyman, where real man talk.
Let's go. Time to grind, get inside your mind. Yeah, we working overtime. That's the only way to climb. We gon' make it in our prime. Signing on the dotted line, cashing checks left and right. That's the way I'm living life.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Everyman podcast. It has been a while, gents. Not like anyone will ever know because of the way that we release the episodes. But how are we all doing tonight?
Spot on.
Decent.
Spot on.
Nice,
Decent.
spotty dog.
How's
The
he
banter was
feeling
flowing
at the
until you just started press record, Bindsy. Jesus Christ.
Do you want to stutter that anymore, mate? It's like you're catching that at football.
Oh, I was just still laughing at the whole story for the preview. It's time for the Everyman.
Yeah, that's Christian's one claim to fame in life, that he can pretend to be the guy from X Factor really shit. Like, he's really bad at it. And it just kind of sounds like...
Is that you, like?
How are them Piper?
Yeah.
It's time for the Everyman.
Oh, really?
It's not bad, actually, is it? But
I
we'll
was
never tell
wondering who's
everyone.
done that.
Do you remember that lass who was on X Factor? I was like, Rachel on an AG. I just remember her. She was
Bad.
the best one.
Who is she? Who's she like?
James's missus, isn't it?
Oh, let's...
Who's also Binder's sister.
I'd only take the piss.
So it's good to have you back, Joe, by the way. Bindy, you can relax. I can also talk if you want. Joe, it is good to have you back, pal. You've been off for a while, haven't you, mate?
I have indeed.
What's been happening with you, Joby? My mum's keen to know. She's missed you.
Well, Ethan's mother, I'll tell you one thing. I've missed you too. No, to be fair, just...
I didn't think Job had that in his locker, to be fair.
I've got, honestly, absolutely no else either, to be fair. Just the Ben. Went on holiday, just went to Brittany in France, which was surprisingly hot. Like, we went there specifically not to, like, be too hot for the Ben. And then we got there, it was like 27 degrees. And, like, obviously you can see from my ginger jeans, my son has that as well. And it's, like, lathered in cream all holiday. You look like you had...
Why did you wear orange jeans? Why? I didn't know orange jeans were a thing. What did you wear with them?
Honestly, I should just mute you for that, to be fair. That was awful.
That's over.
I'm in agreement with that one.
Yeah, you can tell you've been on holiday, Bindy. Jesus Christ.
Literally.
Well, I had to try something. I just wanted Job to stop talking. I didn't want this to be like that episode where he didn't stop talking for 45 minutes straight.
Well, back from the barn, what can I say?
Exactly. And it stops Lewis getting aggressive when he can't talk every 2 minutes. Starts on everyone. Poor Joby. It's good to have you back, pal, anyway. And if anyone watching, I also want to apologise for anyone watching at the state of Lewis Finder's face. If he hadn't told you already, he's been on holiday. He was counting down every week since we started the podcast. 800 weeks, 400 weeks, 300 weeks. But he's very burnt. So anyone watching, I do apologise for the state of him.
Thanks, mate. Still not burnt, even though it's been going on a while. I've been back for a few weeks. Still not burnt. Nice little nibble there. Look how happy he is. Oh, look at his cute little face. He's so happy there for anyone who can watch this. But if you're listening, Ethan is doing some sort of weird shaky dance, which is very interesting.
I want to say he's not burnt.
I'm definitely not burnt.
Mate, you look like a lobster.
Yeah, you do look like a lobster.
I can clarify, I am not burnt. But
A lobster that
we can
ate
say
too
it.
much on holiday and came back like a fat lobster.
Ooh.
I didn't know you went on holiday, mate. We shouldn't be talking about. We shouldn't go into this when we talk about real stuff. Like when we talk about the fact that we do struggle with our weight and all those sorts of things. But everyone enjoys a good fat joke, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think that's one of my my go-to things at the moment is just slating Lewis. That's all I do. That's all I've got in my locker at the moment. Nice to everyone else apart from Lewis.
Yeah, it's true, and it's quite cute actually because I never want to go back on anything because it's literally like kicking a puppy. So it's just too easy. There's so many things to get him back on, so I'll just zip. Gents, good intro. Nice to see how you're getting on. We will get around everyone properly, but just for the listeners here, we don't have a guest tonight, which is a nice chance for us to have a bit of a honest chat with each other, no real focus on the guest. Maybe do some reflection time on how the podcast's gone so far. Just a little bit of a check-in, how we're all doing, how we're all getting on, how our mental health is, how our health is generally. So tonight's episode is very much going to be a little bit more of a deep dive into us again. We haven't done one since probably the first or second episode, I think it was. Well, the first and second episode were just about us. So good chance for us all to probably talk around how we're feeling. It's been a good 3 or 4 months since we first started doing this, so it's good to reflect back on where we're at so far. So
A while, isn't it?
I'm going to start with one person. It has, Job. You're absolutely right. And I'm going to start with Dean. So when we started this podcast, Dean, you were an engaged man. You weren't married. I think you've been married about 11 times now since. You had them in all the different countries in the world. So firstly, how are you, mate? And how's newly married life treating you?
Hi, mate. Good. Keeping busy, keeping active, keep getting injured, which is a bit frustrating because all I want to do is exercise and keep injuring myself more and more. But it's good, mate. You know, I was already married before we had our weddings. Does feel a little bit different since having the wedding. Feel a little bit closer. I think that honeymoon period's over though because we're just arguing at the minute for just daft stuff. But you know, it's all part and parcel, isn't it? You know, every happy marriage has arguments and stuff like that. So, you know, it's always bouncing back from it, and it's going well, mate. But how about yourself?
Yeah, good, mate. It's been a busy few months for me, really. Lots going on in my personal life, and I think the podcast for me has been a huge, almost outlet for me to probably just keep myself talking to you lot and not sort of secluding myself to my own company and making sure I have a chance to really open up and listen and learn. It's been hugely beneficial for me, and life at the moment seems pretty good and pretty balanced. We've been going out training quite a bit, Dean, which has been really helpful. Really good. James, how about you? How are you getting on?
Yeah, not too bad. Been eating a lot better recently and exercising a lot more. So I'm feeling really good. I've slacked off a bit the last week or so, which is a bit annoying, to be honest, because I know how much better you feel after doing a workout, but when you can't be asked to do it, that just overrules everything, doesn't it? And then like days become weeks, and then it doesn't seem to end. It's like a never-ending cycle. But I need to get back to it, and the sun's out as well, so obviously I'm a bit happier with that. The sun always makes everything better, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Especially where I've been living as well. It's been really nice, and we've got a south-facing garden and all, so plenty of sun. Doing all my gardening and all. Got loads of chili plants and strawberries and that.
Ooh, a bit of an Alan Tuck, I'll show you.
I am, mate, yeah. I'm a proper granddad,
green
to be
fingers
honest.
and that, are you? Yeah.
I love my gardening.
Nah, to be fair, it's hard to get back on it, isn't it? With the diets and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Because every bad food, every food that's bad for you, it just tastes so good, doesn't it?
Unreal.
So good.
And it's so much easier and cheaper, I think, like to buy something that's unhealthy or something that you just shot in the freezer or something. But yeah, it's hard. But hopefully get back to it. I've had a soup tonight. Smoothie this morning. Ethan's looking at me there as if I'm going backwards on my meals again. From tea down to breakfast.
Honestly, Jesus, that day when you just walked backwards through your meals, I just didn't know what to make of it, mate. And it was such a good episode.
Keep everyone on their feet.
Makes sense. He's a Macam, goes backwards,
That's true.
Yeah, and you keep everyone on their feet. You don't keep them on their toes. You keep them on your feet.
On their feet, yeah. That's it.
Makes sense.
Stand them up.
Everyone's just got to stand up.
You? Yeah, everyone just stand up. How are you, Ethan?
I was bad until I heard you speak, mate. No offense, Jesus Christ.
Oh,
yeah. I'm only joking, mate. It's good. Me and you actually smashed an episode not long ago when Lewis was on holiday and Dean was on his honeymoon and Christian just decided not to fucking show up. Sorry, man, for swearing, but he dropped me right in the shit. quite frankly. But me and Jay, I don't even want to hear excuses. Neither the audience, Joe. So just meet yourself.
No excuses.
So,
no excuses.
but me and James actually smashed that episode with Reese, and he was a top pro. So that's my shout out just to James. I know I rip you all the time, but you were stand up during that episode, mate. I on a personal level, I'm doing really well. I am trying to lose a bit of timber. The doctor has told I need to lose about 50 kilos to avoid me back going out again. Anyone who listens to the podcast may not have heard, but I had emergency back surgery in December, and it's at risk of happening again. So I'm trying to lose some weight. I'm probably training the hardest now, probably for about 4 years. Pre back surgery, I always had a bit of a problem, niggles with my back and things like that. But I'm training with my pal Matty. He's been he's been fantastic for me. Shout out to Matty. He gets us on my diet plan. He whips us into shape. We go and train. His training's a lot different to what I'm used to. He's very much lifts weights. His knowledge is second to none. So, I've been training with him a lot. I've been sort of really getting to know him and a bit more about sort of different movements and different training than I normally would. But he introduced me to a lot of back strengthening training, which I've never really done before, like weight training to help strengthen me back. So it's getting a little bit better. I bought a bike through our cycle to work scheme, which is great, and I'm cycling to work more. And I'm still training with my favorite two best pals in the world, Rob and Ryan. So we're up at 5 at the gym, things like that. So life's going really well. I think the diet, although it's clean most of the time, like I have fell off the wagon here and there. Like I was picking a little chucky bar before I started, and then decided I felt bad, so I went and ate like a full pound of fucking pineapple, just after. But yeah, life's going well, mate. I'm in a good place. Yeah, just plodding along. Thanks for asking. What about you, Senor Joby? I know we've had a little catch up, but how are you doing? I mean, just before I ask you, actually, I want to point out how well Joby's actually doing. Myself, Joby, and a few others work together. And Joby is a big lad, he was a big lad.
Still am.
He struggled with weight like myself, like Lewis and Dean. But I seen Joby at work the other day, and I actually didn't recognise him. I had to double take. So I was like, since I last seen you at that wedding, at Dean's wedding, you've absolutely shredded, mate. I mean, I don't know if you would like to talk about that as well, but how are you as well?
I know I'm doing well. I'm just coming up to the 5-stone mark now off. So doing
That's
pretty
class,
well
mate.
so far.
Unreal, that, mate. Well done.
It's hard. I'm not going to lie to you. It's been really, really hard. I don't know if I explained it to anyone on here really since we last spoke, but obviously I had diabetes. It was type 2 diabetes from like unhealthy eating and stuff like that. And it was always managed for a little bit. And then I kind of got normal readings again. And for some reason, to me, that was like, oh, well, then I'll just stop like taking the tablets and obviously stop like counting what sugar intake I take and stuff like that. And all of a sudden I just started getting like ill constantly. And I was thinking, why am I so ill all the time? And it was getting to the point where I was like feeling really like rubbish all day, every day, waking up tired, like feeling drowsy, dizzy. And obviously like looking after the bear, and I thought, well, I cannot keep looking after him and feeling like crap all day. So I went to the doctors, had blood tests, and it was worse than I've ever had. My levels were worse than I ever had. So I thought like that was the point there and then when I stood on the doctor's scale and I seen the size of it, I just thought, you know what, like something has to change now. Like I've done it millions of times where I've fluctuated up and down and up and down and up and down. But I think this was like a really hard hitting one for us this time. And that's kind of what's drove us. But saying that, obviously with being on holiday and stuff, decided to let myself go a bit. So just trying to get back on it, which is what I was saying to James before when you were saying about like it's hard once you're like off it for a bit to get back on the horse. That's what I've found since I've come back off holiday. Like I think 2 days ago, well, I was sitting, I should have really made me HelloFresh. I've been doing HelloFresh and I thought, oh, can it be all a cook? I'll just get Chinese. And usually prior to holiday, I wouldn't have done it because it wasn't like a cheat meal day as me and Beth were doing. But it was just like the drive wasn't the same as before holiday, if that makes sense. So I'm just trying to get back on that. So I don't know if you have got any pointers, but I'm looking for a bit of motivation from my mates, actually, to be fair.
I think
mate.
one of the things. Sorry, Ethan. One of the things I heard about cheat meals and stuff like that is quite often you'll have a cheat meal, like say for example on the Monday, and then you go, oh well, I'm fucked now, so I'm not going to bother until the next month. But sort of an analogy for that is if you're driving along the road and you realize you had a flat tire, you wouldn't get out and go, oh fuck, and then pop the other four. You know, you would just fix it. So rather than waiting until Monday to start again, like just sort of getting back on it, you know, don't let a bad day become a bad week, and a bad week become a bad month, and a bad month go back to old habits.
Which I think is so easy to do, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what sort of helped me with mine, is sort of just accepting that you will have these days where you don't feel like it, but you know, have your cheat meal and just try and get back on the bike, mate.
I love that. Love that, Ethan.
Yeah, I mean, just before I say my point as well, I think the second what Dean says, I seen something not long ago on a fitness page, and they said, you know, the most important meal after a cheat meal is the next one, because if you have a cheat meal, if you end up spiraling, like I'm the worst for this, I'm not gonna lie, I always need something sweet to finish us off. So like that's my problem. So like I'll have a nice cheat meal now, but like, ooh, what can I have for pud or something like that? You know what I mean? Like I'm a fucking 5-year-old. Like I seen that on TikTok. Someone was like saying, "You need a fucking pudding because you're fucking 5, you fat fuck." And I like I was like, I laughed at it. And it's a bit aggressive, so I apologize for language, but it really sort of stuck home because I was like, yeah, I'm not a toddler. You know what I mean? And that's something that's probably built in from us being young. But yeah, and they always say, like, if you have a bad gym session or if you have a bad meal, what's most important is not the meal you've just had or the bad gym session, it's the next one. I think for me as well is setting goals to try not give yourself cheat meals or cheat days, because I'm a sucker for that as well. I would always get to a Saturday or Sunday, but I've had 6 good days or 5 good days. And then I would have a cheat meal. But myself and a colleague of mine, Sarah, who I work with, we actually worked out. So I trained all week and I had a 2,200 calorie diet all week. And I built up a surplus of around about 5,000 to 6,000 calories during that week, which is, I think, just under £2. Just under £2, which is great. You know, it's quite low for my weight. I should probably do more. But then on the Saturday, I had a Papa John's. And when I had the Papa John's, I didn't look at the calories, I didn't work it out. But when I worked it out on Monday, my Papa John's, they want to take a workout of what I had. So I had an XXL pepperoni pizza.
About 2,000.
About 2,500.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had like these little cheesy chicken bite things.
About 900.
I thought 600.
Yeah, and then I had some bacon.
The dips are like 700.
They have like a garlic butter dip, don't they?
I think it's 4 calories for the garlic butter from them.
I think it says 7.
Not for the little ones, not the big ones, obviously.
And I also had like a bacon, cheese, garlic bread thing. So those 3 items plus 3 sauces, how many calories do you think I had?
6,200 is my guess.
5,600. 5,600.
James, what do you think?
Oofed.
You weren't paying attention, were you?
5,400. I wasn't counting or anything.
What did he have, James? What did he have? No, tell us what he had.
He had a XXL pepperoni pizza from Papa John's.
Yeah, what else?
Cheesy chicken bites. Garlic and dip. Something like that. 5,400, I'm going to say.
Okay, yeah, cool. And Dean, what was your guess, sorry?
I reckon you're going to be about pretty much where you were. Probably about 7,000.
Yeah, so it was just shy of 6,000 calories.
Yes, and the job's
just shy. So all that work I'd done that week, fair enough, I had 2,000. I hadn't ate the rest of the day, so technically I've got me 2,000 calories. But all that week, I end up losing. I went from having a 6,000 calorie deficit, maybe more, to having a 2,000 calorie deficit, which is, a third because of one meal. Yeah. So I think for me, my biggest lesson in something I would give not just to Joe, but to to anyone listening is don't plan cheat meals, especially for the first 6 to 12 weeks. And if you want a cheat meal, don't hold back. You can indulge, but I would try and stay away because calories add up and it's a dangerous game. So dangerous.
Do you not think sometimes as well, like when you have like one cheat meal a week, it's like that one meal you go extra hard, like what you've just described there. Like, for example, the Chinese I had that I was just telling you about before, it was like a full menu job. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like if I was having it regular, I could just have like a main dish and a side dish. You know what I mean? It was like 5 or 6 different things that I pretended to share with Beth, but scranned myself. The Ben had one prawn crack, and I was like, "Oh yeah, the prawn crackers was for the Ben."
Yeah. To be fair, Joe, you've just said a really good thing because I actually do that. If I get a massive Chinese delivered or
Yeah,
pizza,
yeah.
I'll shout upstairs, pretend food's here, when really it's just me and me flat by myself.
I've done that as
I'm
well,
just going,
mate.
I just go up, I'm like, oh, babe, the food's here.
Do you know what I've done? Because my missus always used to kick off when I get a takeaway. So what I used to do, right, is go outside and write on a piece of paper saying, "We've just had a newborn baby, please don't knock." And then they would come, right, and then they wouldn't knock, and then I would get away with having a takeaway. I would scran it, and then I would hide it in the hide in
my
the bin
word.
before she had a chance to see it.
Mental,
Like secret eating. It's ridiculous,
Wow, I've
Can't
never
stand it.
heard of that. I have never heard of that. Do you know one thing? Just guys, you are probably Dean's probably closer to where I want to get to in terms of he's now for a longer period of time consistently kept the weight off. He has. Ethan, you can pull the face all you want. He has. Where now, so I really struggle with the whole idea of if I have a cheat meal of, I don't know, I might have a pizza or whatever, but out of boredom, I'll eat. An hour later, I'll go and eat. But so, for example, I work from home quite a bit, and I don't know if any of you ever work from home where your kitchen's 2 minutes away and you have all the shit in the house you can eat whenever you want. And I can be good until 6 o'clock at night, have my tea, still be really good. And it's like, there's that part in my head, 8 o'clock at night or whatever, where I'm like, I now have to go and eat as much as I can until I'm really full. So I really struggle with eating enough versus feeling full. I have to fit, my body has to feel like, oh, I've eaten too much for me to then be content with what I've eaten. Any thoughts on that? Any tips on that? I've heard drinking water is a key to help fill you up.
Yeah, snacking's a massive thing, I think. I could happily go to the shops if it was just me and purposely not buy the snacks because
Yeah, me too.
I don't want to eat them. But India, she always says she's always leaves herself a pudding belly after her food. So we bought some eclairs today, and I was full.
And you would never have eaten them if they weren't there. You would never have eaten them. Yeah.
So it was my idea to get them, but
that changed quickly, didn't it?
Yeah,
that story completely changed.
Yeah.
India's fault. Oh no, but I got them.
4 chocolate eclairs, man. But we had our food today. It was a soup, so we were healthy. And she was like, "Oh, do you want an eclair?" I was like, "Oh, no, not really." And she's like, "Oh, I won't have one then." Then I feel bad because she wants one. I'm like, "Oh, go on then, I'll have one." She's like, "Oh, okay." And she gets that.
Then the whole packet's gone or whatever.
Then the whole we only ate one each, like, so we'll save the other ones for tomorrow.
The others are gone, by the way. I know my sister really well. You're sat on here and she is scrunning those eclairs.
Yeah, she's gone out the shop to replace them.
Yeah, she's gonna replace. So she's eating the rest of them and then another 2. So when you look, there's the right amount left. No, you're right.
Yeah, but if it's not there, like I can have, like I won't want it, but if it's there, I'll want it.
Yeah, and it's always in the back of my head. Like I'll sit down and I'll go, I know there's a chocolate bar in there. I'm not hungry. And it might come in an hour after tea, and I'll go, no, I don't want one in my own head. But then 8:30, 9, it's like it just burns in the back of your head of eat the chocolate bar. Eat the chocolate bar.
Because I know you mentioned that you were looking into like the ADHD side of things, but that sort of thing where you know something's there and you just can't forget about. Like you physically cannot. Like I'm something I'm looking into now. It's like biting my nails, right? I'll get my missus hates it when I bite my nails, but I'll get a little bit of it, and I can't forget about that little bit. So that sort of thing with the food and stuff like that, it can be sort of something to do with that, because you just cannot sort of forget about it. But that with me, for mine, like I have to have set meals of what I'm eating. So like this week, I'm having beef stew with rice for lunch, 2 protein yogurts, and then shepherd's pie for tea, and that's what I'll have for 6 days. Because if I don't have my meals planned like that, I'll just eat a concoction of whatever food. And like she buys loads of food as well. She has loads of snacks, and then she's got a little snack drawer. And if I don't think about the snack drawer for a while, I'm fine. But now that I'm mentioning it now, like later on, I'll probably be like looking in it to see what it's like. But I like to just
Especially
eat the same thing over and over.
Especially when later on we all message in the chat, Dean, don't forget about the snack drawer, because we're
Try
really supportive
sabotage us.
mates.
Is Dino trying to say he's having shepherd's pie for 6 days in a row?
I know, yeah. That
I'm
seems
sure
a
he
little
said-
Well,
bit
the shepherd's pie only lasts for 5 days because I get 5 portions of
5
it.
days
but-
of shepherd's pie on a night time.
Oh, it's unreal though. I love it.
I
But like,
his face. He's like, what's going on?
like, what was it just before I went away? It was Big Mac salads. So like, they're unreal. Big Mac salads, so without the bun, and you just mix it in a big mixing bowl with like lettuce and like homemade Big Mac sauce. It's about 500 calories, 50 grams
That's
of
pretty
protein
good.
in this
That's pretty
big
good.
massive bowl. It's like unreal. So the volume eating's a really good one. So eating things that are low calorie, but lots of it. So like mushrooms, lettuce, stir fries, all that sort of stuff that'll fill out your plate, but not increase your calories by loads is a massive help. But
all
you
taste
say about me, keeping the weight off. I went on holiday for 3 weeks, and in 3 weeks I put on 1.5 stone. So I can put on weight really easily. But since I've come back, I've lost about 1 stone of that. Most of it would have been water weight, but it's just getting that final bit off now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I cannot believe
And
the dedication that you're going to eat the same meal for 6 days. 6 days
that's-
for tea. I'd be sick of my life by the end
Tonight's
of it.
my last bit of shepherd's pie, and I cannot wait to eat it when I get off here, to be honest.
Honestly, that's mental. That's
I love
mental.
it.
Yeah, I can tell you love it, mate. You're having it every day of your fucking life.
I won't have it next week, though.
No,
I'll go
just
to
a week
I'll
after.
go to something
Well
else,
done,
yeah.
mate. Have a week off your shepherd's pie. Treat yourself.
Do you know what? That's what's good about HelloFresh, because I don't know if
Yeah,
any
I love
lads have
HelloFresh.
tried
Yeah.
it. But it's just, for me, it's like convenience, not wasting the food, which is obviously good. But then,
Can we just say we're not sponsored by HelloFresh, but if
No,
they
no,
want to
but
sponsor
I was
us,
gonna say-
feel
Yet.
free.
Yeah.
If they
Or
want to
Prime.
sponsor us, or
Yeah.
Prime, which
Or
Job's drinking Prime,
Job, yeah.
or
Everything.
Adidas, or Vans, or Ralph Lauren. But if any of those
Anyone.
brands want to sponsor us,
if Dave's Corner Shop round the corner wants to sponsor us, do you know what I mean?
We just need a mic
10%
for
off.
Ethan.
Aye, that's all I
can
want.
someone please?
Just
can someone
anybody
please
can
buy
give us a
Ethan
mic for Ethan.
Oh god! But I was just saying about HelloFresh, like it's the consistency of like not having to think about what to
Yeah,
eat.
I love
because
HelloFresh.
I'm terrible at thinking about meals. Like if I have to do my own weekly shop, you can guarantee like kind of what, not as extreme as what Dino said, like shepherd's pie every day, but every week I might have the same set of 5 or 6 meals that I just
Spag
refresh
bowl,
and refresh.
curry,
Literally,
fish salad,
but
yeah,
literally,
chicken curry or whatever. Like it just goes round the same crap.
Ooh,
Fajitas.
100%. And that's what's
Dean's
been
so
good about it.
excited. We've just talked about
No, I
5
just thought about
weeks of
chicken
food for
curry
Dean.
there.
Can we?
Actually, I seen something the other day as well, talking about, and I haven't tried this yet, but like 150 calories of pasta versus 150 calories of potatoes. So you can have like a lot more potatoes for 150 calories than you can of pasta. So filling your diet with like potatoes rather than pastas and rices, it'll make you more full. So that's something I'm
so
going to
good
try
though,
this
innit?
week.
Oh,
I love
unreal.
pasta.
Ask Ethan.
Ethan
about
loves
that.
pasta.
Loves pasta.
I fucking love pasta, me and
Love
What's your favorite pasta, Ethan? Like, what's
Do
your
you know-
favorite meal?
I've got some facts to lay down as well after the pasta, so Joe, don't forget to remind us.
I'll
But
remind you.
my favourite pasta dish, now this is when I was on serious bulk duty. I was bulking like there's no tomorrow. So what I'd be talking about is I would have 500 grams of pasta, right? And then I would get that, I'd cook that, I'd do 750 grams of mince, make that into a bolognese. I'll put them in on the 500 grams of pasta, full bag of cheese, put it in the oven as a pasta bake. I would have 2 garlic baguettes with it as well, and I'll do the whole thing. And then I would have pud, and then I'd go straight to sleep.
And the best thing is, he would do the whole thing naked.
Oh,
Yeah, I would.
unreal.
I'd be in wide fronts that you couldn't see I was had wide fronts because my guts hung over the top of it.
Do you look like the guy from BGT? Have you just watched Britain's Got Talent recently?
No,
the guy
I
who
don't.
does
Not
all
that.
that. It's quite funny actually. Joe,
No,
try and get him
but,
up on the screen.
What?
Do BGT
BGT. Yeah, cool.
final.
What's Stavros Flatley?
No,
this
there's
someone
his
else?
routine's actually.
This year's, yeah.
Yeah, this year's. His routine's quite funny actually.
What's his name? Do you
He's-
know his name?
Just type Asian comedian.
You were going to say
Yeah.
Asian fat comedian there, weren't you?
Is he fat?
Asian
seen
fat
you go-
comedian.
I seen you go Asian, and then he corrected this Asian comedian.
I can't see this year's, yeah.
Yeah, he does like this naked pose thing. It is quite funny.
I know for a large chap, I do like to take my clothes off a lot, but it's funny people enjoy
Like
it. You know what I
far
mean?
too much. You want to take your clothes off. I've seen you naked more than I've seen my missus naked.
Yeah, we
And I
just
live
seen
with
your ass crack. We just seen your ass crack before we started recording as well. I just have to say, it's the longest ass
I
crack
thought you
I've
cracked
ever
his
seen in
screen.
my life. Looked like the runway off Fast and Furious.
James Stone's at work with the runways with the planes coming in.
you're not even the first person to say that, James. That's how bad it is.
I think I said that about 10 years ago. I'm not even gonna
Yeah.
lie.
Someone said I've literally got the back of my forehead, a little bit of back, and then all cracked out the back of my legs.
Is he called Toniaku and he's a superhero?
Aye.
I don't know
He's
if
a
John's
superhero.
Sure it is.
Is he shredded?
No.
Yeah.
No, I guess it's not then. What
I'm
was
trying
that?
to find him, but I
Fat
can't find him
man.
at all.
Why don't you just
Oh,
Google?
you're calling him fat? I feel literally horrible that you're calling him fat.
Well, just put him on the screen. It's
I
funny.
will. Don't worry, I will.
By the way, we're not
This
calling
is-
them fat.
We're not calling him fat.
I was
Yeah.
going to say, because if he's
It's
fat...
men's health
it's-
podcast, man.
yeah,
We're just talking about
Hang
the
on.
Y fronts. That's all we're talking
Well,
about.
I am going to ask you all a question in a moment after this, actually, around the word fat. Because
I've got some
I think it's
some
good.
facts to lay down first, though.
all right,
Facts
mate.
or facts. Is that my lass?
Jesus Christ!
Naked. Super Kilo Naked Pose.
That's like one of my guys from work, Chris Wilson.
Naked Pose.
So he does loads of naked poses.
Oh,
This actually reminds me of a night out with Ethan. He does poses where it looks like he's naked, but he's not.
But Ethan just does poses where he's naked.
That's
Yeah.
very true.
how
Very
did this
true.
get the final, man?
You want to see the guy who won it?
Naked. Super Kilo Naked Pose.
Are we showing this in slow motion or is this actually real? Like
This is
live?
real.
It feels.
He didn't even look naked there.
He does there.
No, you can see it.
Don't worry, I'm wearing.
This is awful. It's like,
No, I'm
Right.
so glad I don't watch this anymore. Like,
Yeah, Job, turn this off. All right, we'll talk about other stuff. I just
thank
wanted to
God
make the
for
point that,
having-
Right.
that he reminds me of Ethan's crack, though. The fact that Ethan would do that sort of stuff
His
in a
ass
bar,
crack.
Britain's
though.
Got Talent.
In a bar.
Yeah.
Ethan would take his clothes off into his pants in a bar to show off his ass.
Yep, 100%. I'll do it again. I'll do it right now. I'm
Do you know
live on
what?
the
For the
podcast.
confidence.
Please
Good
don't.
on you.
Please don't.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Anyways, my
Ethan, do your facts.
first fact, boys. Here's one. Did you know that food labels can actually be 20%, up to 20% inaccurate, either high or low? So if you've got a food that's 100 calories, it could either be 80 calories, 100 calories, or 120 calories.
I did not know that.
Huberman.
That is, yeah. And
That's
also, yeah, that's a good one. So yeah, I'll lay that one on for now, and I'll save some for later in the podcast because I
All
don't
right.
want to give
Thanks,
all the
mate.
secrets away. You're welcome.
Cheers.
Well, you just
Thanks for
research
giving
some
all
more.
the Huberman's secrets all away. Really appreciate it.
It's all right. It's all right.
So, boys, serious question here. So, Dean, you just said there around we shouldn't be using the word fat or bantering each other being fat and stuff because we're a men's health podcast. Serious question. So, this is probably one more for Ethan and Job, who are bigger lads. No, serious question, boys.
Makes sense.
Do you find someone calling you fat offensive?
No,
No.
I don't
Is
find
that-
any offense for it.
Really, Joe? Nothing, a little bit.
No, I guess for me, it's kind of like it probably does hurt deep down, like subconsciously. But I suppose I'm kind of one of those people that just try and be like a joker at all times. So like when I usually take everything as banter, even if maybe someone isn't saying it as banter, if that makes sense. So I suppose that's like a bit of a wall, a bit of a shield for us. So if someone says, "Oh, like you're fat," fuck, you know what I mean? I'll just be like, "Oh yeah, whatever." Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't really get to us. But have I like been embarrassed by like? I'll give you a good one actually. I was in the swimming with me son and my partner, and it's like the whole taking your top off now you're a big lad and stuff like that. I don't know how you feel about it, Ethan. I know you've just been talking about you getting naked all the time.
He
But
doesn't
for
care.
me, like that's probably harder than being called fat. It's just knowing like how out of shape I am and like I feel like people look and stuff like that. So it's not so much the words, it's more like
How it makes
the
you feel.
eyes. Yeah, more than that affects me. I don't know about you, Ethan, but that's for me.
Yeah, Job. I mean, I appreciate you opening up and being honest about me. I mean, to a degree, I agree with you on a level. I mean, for me, I think when I was younger, I really suffered with bullying, and I had a horrible. This is long before I knew Lewis, or I was in middle school and I had some horrible experiences, and it was just fat all the time. It wasn't how it is now. Like the world's a lot nicer place. I know we take the piss out of each other and call each other fat, and say you've got long arse cracks and things like that, which is just not true. But back in the day, it wasn't accepted. People weren't loved for being different. It was very much if you were a footballer, a cool, skinny footballer kid in high school, you were the lad, and if you were the pretty girl in high school, you were the pretty girl, and everyone else was just odd and picked on. And I really struggled with it. And I think for me, what I did was I turned a weakness into a strength because I'm 30 now, and I am realizing now that I've got a problem with food. It stems a lot deeper than just being just enjoying food. I do. It does have a control over us mentally, and it's embarrassing to say, but it has a big hold on us. And it's ruined relationships with friends, girlfriends, things like that. For me, I'm very subjective to who I allow to call me big now. Back in the day, probably 2-3 years ago, pre-COVID, if you called us fat or whatever, I wouldn't be bothered because that was my persona. I had like a persona. I was the funny fat guy because, like you say, Joe, if you put that wall up and you don't look like people hurt you. But now, through hanging around with a few friends, Rob especially, who I've mentioned a few times on the podcast, he's taught us that you've got to have a certain level of respect for yourself. Otherwise, people won't have respect for you. So now I don't mind if us here, because we're friends, we know each other, and I'm give it as much to Lewis or Dean or James or you. I'll give it back worse probably. I've got a horrible tongue at times, but if a regular person or anyone else outside of my friends sort of says it, whether it's in a jokey way or something else, you'll get put in your place. Because I think you've got to have respect for yourself, but it's a hard barrier to find.
Yeah.
But then, as you mentioned before, taking a top off and people looking, I've never really been naked in front of a partner. I think I've had sex with my top off. Yeah, I think I've had sex with my top off maybe 3 times in my life.
Wow.
And I've done a lot of shagging. I'm going to tell you that. I've done a lot of shagging.
I believed everything you said up until then.
Yeah. He lost me that he did it a lot.
Yeah.
But so I'm
good
I agree
old
with what
Palm
you're saying.
Pilot.
but yeah, so it swings and roundabouts to me. Like if and I think that's my take on it. I think, yeah, it's difficult. I don't know about you, Dean. Dean, you've
No, hang on, Dean. I have a
spiraled.
question.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
no
let you
problem.
skip off that. It's as easy as that. Why don't you take your top off?
When I'm having
Me? Oh,
sex,
Ethan. Oh,
Yeah.
just because I think it's not like I'm so used to girls rejecting us. Like in high school, like I say, I wasn't, I didn't lose my virginity till I was 18. I wasn't really fancied by girls. All my pals were getting loads of girls when I was younger, and I had to come into my own stride with having the crack and the banter and things like that. And I think I didn't want to put them off us. Like, you have your man boobs and you've got a gut and things like that. And, my ex girlfriend, who, when we broke up, she would always encourage to get me top and things like that. And they would always say, like, girls along the way all said, oh, I don't care, things like that. But to me, I'm so subjective to the likes of, your Ryan Reynolds, your Chris Hemsworth, your Brad Pitt, people like that who've got their tops off, six packs. And that's what probably people think women want all the
yeah.
time. And I know a lot of girls these days are like, oh, well, like dad bods, things like that. But for me as well, I want to get to that level of having a six pack and things like that. It's never going to happen. Like, it's not going to happen. But I don't know. I think it's just a thing in my mindset where I'm like, I can't do it because I don't want to scare them off. I don't want to see the real me physically. You know what I mean? And that's just me being honest.
It's strange though that you're so confident around the boys,
Yeah.
like to do that, and then when it comes to the other sex, it's kind of like your past experiences have kind of shaped your mindset into like differentiating the two, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah, there's
oh, the
like a
boys
barrier.
think different than the girls. Like, I feel like everyone thinks the same. Like, do you know what I mean? If someone's that type of shallow person and they think, oh god, he looks horrible with his top off, they're going to be that way regardless whether they're a man or a female, in my opinion. And like, especially if it's someone who you're with and someone who you've got a relationship or seeing or going out with. For me, it's kind of always been like they've kind of got a love you for you in a way, sense of thing, because I can get where you're coming from. It's harder as a bigger lad to try and sort of fit in with the rest of the blokes who are pulling, especially like on nights out and stuff like that. If you think like in the clubs and that, like no one wants to go with a fat kid. Do you know what I mean? Like there's that horrible stigma of like, I don't know if you ever did it when you were young, but I can say like I was a bit of a knob when I was young, and there's always that game of pull the pig. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to be the other way around and be the pig.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's kind of, I suppose stuff like that's kind of what's caused people to have that barrier.
Yeah, definitely, Joe. And I think it's different when you're making people laugh. Like Vines, you were saying before, I take my clothes off for the lads. Everyone's laughing away. You're running around naked. You're like doing daft stuff, and
We
you
laugh at
make
first.
lads laugh at first, then they'll get aroused at how wicked shape I am. But it's different to the lads having a laugh on and encouraging you and being funny to a girl being like, ooh, like I think that's the biggest fear in a lad. I mean, taking your top off or taking your pants down for your obviously genitals in a girl being put off. I think that's the biggest scare because you want to be sexualized. You want to feel, like you're the best person in the world for the opposite sex. So it is tough. It is really tough, to be honest with you, in that regard.
As far as Dino, James, Lou, you don't mind me asking you the question back on that
I
on
think
that
Dean wanted
basis.
to go next, mate.
Oh,
No,
sorry,
it's all right.
Dino.
Just ask the question and then I'll jump on.
It was basically I was just wanting to say from the other perspective. Like I know you have struggled with weight and stuff like that, but from like not a huge lad's perspective, like do you have like expectations of what you should look like? Do you have like that same level of like, oh god, I don't want to take my top off here because like how Ethan was saying about Chris Hemsworth, for example. Like, do you compare yourself to those type of blokes, or are you seeing yourself as normal lads? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I see myself as a bit. I'm a lot bigger now than what I was, especially because I work like 300 odd miles away from where I'm from. All my mates that I've known for years are from. Like you notice sometimes when you go home, like I've put on like a lot of weight, and like people will be, oh, like look at the size of you now, look at the size, and I'm not. I'm like 15 stone, like less than 15 stone. That's my heaviest.
Hmm.
And you'll notice even when I go on the hairdressers from home and that, you know, you like to think, you know yourself that you're putting the weight on, but you like to think that people are not going to notice. Because when other people start noticing, then that's when you think, right, come on, I've got to make a change now. I remember I was working out in Vegas and I just started wearing glasses, and they were like Harry Potter, like round sort of glasses. And then this guy, he's a bit of a dick, but funny as fuck. And he goes, "Oh look, it's fat Harry Potter." And obviously, it was in front of everyone as well, and it was it was funny. But I was thinking to myself, I was like, "I've got I've got to sort this shit out, like, because
Yeah.
I'm getting big. I'm not happy with my own body, you know. Like it's mostly from beer. Like I've got a right gut on us, and I lost a lot of weight before, and I felt
For your wedding.
class for the wedding, yeah. And then I went out to Cyprus. I was out there for a few months and just drinking all the time, putting it back on, and yeah, it just doesn't stop. And then you get into that cycle and you're just putting more and more weight on. And I feel like you lose a lot of weight sometimes. And then when you stop and you get into that cycle, you end up heavier than you were before you even started working out. And it's just like, that's the most annoying part, because you put all that work, you felt really good about yourself. And now you're not even back to where you were, you're even worse. So then you're digging yourself even deeper hole, and you got to work harder. So it's harder to start your diet and you're working out, because you've got to put like even more work in that you put in before. Even though it's going to be worth it, it's like daunting to think of. I think it only starts becoming worth it when you see them changes and you feel the changes and you feel better, because otherwise you're just knackered. So yeah, that's my view
Steve,
on it.
what about you, mate?
With me, like, when I was younger, I was really bothered about that, having man boobs and having a belly on us and wanting to wear a t-shirt when I went in the pool and stuff like that. But I think as I got older, I just sort of realized, like, who cares? I'm doing that for when I'm on holiday for people that I don't even know, that I'll never see again in my life. To probably, like, I seen this thing once where when you walk in a room, you think everyone's looking at you, but in reality, nobody even gives a shit. They might look and just look away. Like, nobody looks and goes, "Oh my God, he's fat," or something like that. You think that's what you think to do. There might be the odd person that does, but you're not the center of everybody's world, and it's sometimes hard to remember that. So once I sort of thought that, like, there's still stuff I wouldn't do. Like, I'd love to, on a hot day when I'm out on a run, I'd love to just take my top off and just run. I'm not quite there yet where I would feel confident, because I think if I seen someone like me who was like my size running, everything's still jiggling around, I don't think I'm that confident yet. But in terms of, like, if it's a nice sunny day, like, I've got no hesitation to take my top off now. But I think that's more because I've sort of transitioned away from the sort of weight loss. It's something that I am still trying to do, but my goal now is like more like trying to get fitter and just be a healthier person in general. But I think just remembering that we're only here for a short amount of time, and to worry about not taking your t-shirt off. Just you're on holiday, you want to get a tan, but you don't want to because you're worried about what people think. Since I've started thinking like that, I don't really care as much now. I've sort of grew up. Like, not saying that you don't grown up if you don't want to do that, but it just sort of made us realize, what's important and what's not. Like, and the opinions of people that I'll never speak to or care about don't really matter to me. The opinions that matter to me are my friends and family who, if they think me health's getting out of control, they'll have a quiet word with us, and you respect them for that. But yeah, just going back to what you were saying before about being called fat. Again, I think it's the context of it. There's the laugh and a joke sort of thing where people are laughing with you, but there's times where people are sort of literally taking the piss out of you, and that's where you sort of got to fight that line. But again, with Ethan, was saying about he's not so scared now to tell people, to pull people up on it, and I think that's what people probably realize. Some people don't realize, a joke's funny once, twice, three times, but the same joke told repeatedly it's a dig. It's not
Yeah.
a joke. So, and as much as you know, I'm the same. You could say anything to me really, and it doesn't bother me. You know,
Mhm.
but once people start saying the same thing over and over and over and over again, it stops being like a joke and it starts being a dig. So that'll be for me. What about yourself, Lou?
Do you know what? I remember when we first spoke about this, and I was like, no, it's not really a big thing for me. I'm not that bothered, all that sort of stuff. But since then, I've put on weight and I've lost weight since, and still need to lose or want to lose. People would say you don't need to, or you might need to, or whatever. Ethan will say I always need to, but how I feel today, I'm being honest. I've the older I get, the more I'm struggling with that idea, and I don't know if part of it is getting older and you don't look how you in your mind's eye when you close your eyes and you think I look like this, and then you look in the mirror and I'm bald, I'm chubby now, like I'm not in good shape. There's lots of things when I look in the mirror now. I don't like the person who's looking. I don't like the look of the person who's looking back. And not trying to make this by any means like a soppy one or whatever, but I am struggling with that a little bit at the moment. If I'm honest, I probably have a little bit of low self-esteem, and Ethan's comments are a huge motivation. They are. And Ethan knows my personality well enough to know that having jibes works with me. People taking the piss works. If people are just being super nice all the time, I probably struggle with that a little bit, and that's the competitive part of me. I like to be the best. I like to try and be the best. And at the moment, physically, I'm not in the best shape of my life. I'm not in the worst shape, because if I look at myself 2-3 months ago, I was a lot worse than I am today. And I have to be honest, Dean, us training on a morning and having that tiny bits of competition is massively helping, not just me physically, but mentally, and me coming to terms with it. Because I think for me, as long as I am trying to make a difference of how I look, then mentally I can cope with that a bit better. It's if I'm not trying, and then your mind gives you all those excuses. My mind, again, I don't know if any of you guys do this, but sometimes I'll be lying in bed, say, and I'm really bad for this on a night time. I'll be thinking, "Oh, right, tomorrow I'm going to get up and I'm going to train, and I'll run in my head. I'll close my eyes and I'm going to sleep, and I'm doing it now so I can visualize it. I'll be thinking, right, I'm just going to run and I'll do this and it'll feel like that. And I'm thinking about it before it happens. And then it's almost like my brain makes me think, well, I've already been on a run, because mentally I've been on a run. So why aren't I losing weight? And I get frustrated with myself because I've gone through some of those thoughts and put myself in some of those situations, but haven't actually physically done the exercise. So then when I wake up the next day and I'm not like, I take my top off and I'm like, why aren't I 10% body fat again? Why am I sat at 15%? Why am I not at 10? Like, this is really frustrating. There's definitely that part. But to answer your question, Job, how does it feel the other way? Because it sounds ridiculous now at 30 to say this, but I used to be fit, but I haven't been fit in 11 years, 12 years. Not to the degree which my mind's eye thinks I am fit, if that makes sense. So me as an adult living in the Northeast, I have never, ever, ever been fit how I think I used to be fit. I might have been in half decent shape sometimes. I might have been able to play football at half decent pace, but I've never been fit how I think of me being fit of when I was 16, 17, 18, when I was playing sport every day. I was going to the gym every day. I was eating really healthy. And it's probably coming to terms with, and my partner tells me this all the time, Lewis, you're 30.
Yeah.
You work now.
Mm-hmm.
You can, if you want to eat something, Lewis, no one will stop you eating it.
Yeah.
Because I can just go and buy it. So when you're 16, 17, 18, you don't have the money. So you get home, your mum, dad's made you tea, you'll eat whatever that is. And it certainly wasn't when we have a bad week. Every one of us here could eat a takeaway every night in a week. We probably have. We've all had weeks where we've just eaten out all the time, or we haven't had a takeaway, we've eaten chocolate, cakes, biscuits, crisps, sweets, whatever, all in the house, all through the week. We've overeaten. And it's just, I really struggle me and Ethan have the same problem actually with our health. He doesn't realize it, but I do. So we both train crazy hard. Ethan, for all listeners, and I have some of my friends are pro athletes and whatever. Ethan trains harder than anyone I have ever seen train versus how physically capable he is. It's not
Yes, pal.
possible. You shouldn't be training at the intensity and the duration and the consistency that you do for the weight you are. There's got to be, in my head, I get concerned sometimes how hard you train being the size you are, but you'd work harder than 99% of everyone in the football team will run, and you will keep running until you've done all your sets, even though most people are finished. Like you're that guy. You're about the process of training, and I'm about the process of training. Like I love to train. I love to play football. I love to be exercising. I love it. But what me and you both fall down on is the process of dieting.
Yeah.
We look at diet as an end goal. We don't look at diet as a process. We're not like where we love the journey of training. We love it. We love nothing more than getting our heart rate up and working really hard. And we love that part. But on our diet, we're looking at it as a destination all the time. And that's why we keep failing. I think me and you think personally, and probably Job, I'm going to throw Job in this because he's a crash dieter too. We will calorie cut for a bit. We'll eat healthy for a bit. We might hit some achievements, and then we just go back to old routines because we haven't fallen in love with the process of eating healthy. And that's where I think Dean is versus. And if it means I have to eat shepherd's pie 5 nights in a week, then I might have to look at it. But I feel like Dean's maybe more in the process versus the destination. Sorry for rambling a bit there.
No, fine. I think you're very much right, mate, and I appreciate your kind words. You know, like it means a lot, pal. And you know, I'm a bit concerned that you're sort of struggling in that scenario at the moment. I mean, not to make matters worse, quick joke here. I'm not sure I've ever seen you 15% body fat, never mind 10%. So I don't know where you got that from.
I'll happily show you on my phone.
No, I'm only joking. But you know, mate, my door's always open for you, Lou. I mean, I've said to you before this podcast, I didn't check in when you're away from holiday. I've not been that sort of friend, but this is why we're here to get this off our chest as a group of friends. And the thing is, Lewis, you know, you're being quite hard on yourself because you're very motivated. As much you're saying to me and you train really hard, we're exceptional trainers, which there's no doubt about it. You know, Lou, you're always the first person to be on to me about coming to train in the morning, coming to football training. You know, the season wasn't over and you were already planning pre-season the week after for yourself and Dean and others. You know, it's a credit to you there. But you work in a very stress-orientated job. You know, I will not go into too much detail because of privacy and things like that. But you've created, it's very well documented, your rise and downfall, unfortunately. The fact that you're back on the rise, it's not an easy job, mate. It's not an easy thing to rise, to fall hard, and to rise back up again. So I think you need to give yourself massive credit because, you know, you're smashing work again. You're not where you want to be. You're honest now, weight-wise or career-wise. And and the reason I push you so hard is because I know that. I know the Lewis finds that as he's run his own career. You're going to get there eventually yourself because you're that sort of guy that will never stay down for long. But please don't let it get on top of you, mate. And if it does, come talk to it. You know, I'll use this as an outlet because you've got to.
It's our time.
Something's got to give. Yeah, exactly. But something's got to give, Vine. Something's got to give. You know, you've got your young family. You've got your young child who's absolutely amazing. You've got your lovely girlfriend, stroke fiance, stroke. I don't know what's going on. Are you going to marry her sometime or not? Not the force it. But you know, you've got so much going on, mate. So cut yourself a bit of slack, you know, and I'll always be on top of you because that's what you need. And someone always said to me, we can
not
always
literally,
do
though,
better.
please. Not literally.
You wouldn't be so lucky, mate. You wouldn't be so lucky.
Tops off. No, it is not that episode.
I think going back to what you were saying before, though, like it does come back to that 80-20. You cannot out-train a bad diet. And it doesn't matter how hard you work, like you just can't do it. You know, Ethan said before that he had a 6,000 calorie meal, just under 6,000 calorie meal from Papa John's, right? You couldn't burn 6,000 calories. Well, you could, but it would be so much hard work. So, you know, the easiest way to burn 500 calories is just to not eat 500 calories in the first place. You know, so, you know, you can train all you want, but if you can just, instead of doing an hour on the treadmill, just avoid that 300-400 calories beforehand. It's easier said than done. Don't get us wrong, but you know, trying to plan out your meals. I mean, intermittent fasting is something that I've used massively. So like today, I didn't eat till 3 o'clock, and then at 3 o'clock, I had protein shake, protein yogurt, sliced chicken, 10 satay sticks, Plowman's cheddar cheese sandwich, to a point where I was absolutely stuffed, couldn't eat any more. 1,100 calories, and then I've got me a shepherd's pie tonight, and then I'm sorted. So you know, something that I've sort of learned there is to try and push the feeding, so you're not eating all day. Especially for you, Lou, if you know you're saying that one of your things is struggling to stop at night, just having that cut off period of saying, right, after 9 o'clock, no matter what, I will not eat. It'll be hard for the first 3, 4, 5 days, but after that, your body gets used to not eating at them times, and it does really help. So, you know, it's all just trial and error. You've just got to see what works for you. But you know, sorting the diet is first and foremost if you're looking to do that. But one of the big one for me is, and I'm really bad for this, when I stop my diet, I stop everything. I stop the gym.
Yeah.
I stop walking. I stop everything. So, you know, if your diet's not right, you know, our secondary goal at the minute, Lou, is to get fit. So if our diet's not perfect, let's make our runs perfect. Let's make our training, you know, spot on. So at least if one thing, we're sacrificing on one thing, we're doing well on something else.
Yeah, that's a good point, mate.
Just a quick one from me. Just touching on the fasting side of things. You know, I've had a lot of success with fasting. You wouldn't guess in my current state, but you know, I've lost quite a bit of weight on it, and I do agree with it massively. Something I don't know if you guys have heard of it or seen it, but speaking of one of my favorite people ever, Chris Hemsworth did a show for Disney Stroke Discovery called Limitless. Now it went under the radar a bit, but basically it's about 6 to 8 episodes, and it talks about longevity in life. And one of the episodes is about fasting and time restrictive diets. And you know, Dean, when you're mentioning there, when you're restricting, say you're having an 18-hour window of fast and then a 6-hour window of eating. So anything after 16 to 18 hours, if you don't eat, your body starts to burn fat stores. You know, so that's a great window to start off, but it's a very hard window. Something that Chris Hemsworth does in his shows, he actually has a 72-hour fast. He tries to push to even 4 days, but not
How
only
often?
is it good, he tries to do it once a month.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
Yeah, because what it does is not only does it, obviously you don't eat in those periods, it's just water and black coffee potentially, but it actually gets rid of dead cells in the stomach and in the body, and it actually promotes the growth of new cells. It's so interesting. I'm going to do a disservice talking about it, but I would encourage you and any of our listeners to go and have a watch of that show. You know,
Yeah, I'm
there's
gonna watch it.
various things they do. Recovery through ice therapy, heat therapy. They do intermittent fasting, prolonged fasting. They do stress, anxiety. They do so much stuff, and it's really interesting. That I'm a big advocate for time restricted windows, but be careful because you've still got to have a diet. So what Dean's saying there is he's having that condensed window and he's eating still the right stuff. I got into a habit of eating the wrong stuff and that, so I was still having pasta fucking bakes. I was just having that in a time restricted window, but I'm still eating 3,000 to 4,000 calories.
Yeah.
And I'm not being smart with it. So if you're going to do it, be smart with it and make sure you break the fast right. I don't want to go into too much detail, but there's a way you should break your fast so your body doesn't just hold on to the nutrients and foods you've got. But yeah, have watched that show. That's just a bit on me from what Dean mentioned before, because it's really
I'll
interesting.
definitely watch it. Does anyone
There's-
actually know? Sorry, do you know? You go.
I was just going to say, just quickly while I'm thinking about it. I watched a documentary. It wasn't a documentary. It was a guy doing a talk at Stansted. I was talking. I seen this on Huberman. He talked about the guy talking about it. It was about processed foods and why processed foods are bad for you and why they make them. But essentially, I'll probably butcher it, but you need to watch it. It's about 45 minutes long. But they put lots of sugar in these processed foods, which spikes your insulin later on, which makes you hungrier later on. That's why sometimes you'll be stuffed, feel like you can't eat anymore, and then 30, 45 minutes later you're thinking, oh, I wouldn't mind a snack. So trying to have like whole unprocessed foods is something that's helped me massively. And one of the things it was talking about is the chemicals that they put in these processed foods to sort of keep them on the shelf for a long time. It sort of breaks down your stomach lining, which tells you, translates from your stomach to your brain to tell you that you're full. And that's why we can go and stuff our face and stuff our face and stuff our face to a point where we're full. Whereas other people like my missus, who just eats like rice and, soy sauce and fish and stuff, all like unprocessed foods, she eats a little bit of food and she's sort of full. So the documentary, I'll put it in the chat for the lads here, but it's, like I say, it's about 45 minutes long, but it's a real eye opener and sort of getting you to eat the right foods. And once you're doing that, it starts a cycle, which makes it easier and easier to avoid eating more and more rubbish food, because eating rubbish food makes you want to eat more rubbish food, more rubbish food, more rubbish food. So what was your question there, Job? Sorry, mate.
Well, actually, before I go to the question, it's kind of similar subject of what you're saying about like processed foods and all that. Like, I remember I was watching a documentary about buffets, like how they put stuff in buffets and how they get you on, like, they load all of their food with sodium, loads of salt and salt and salt and salt, so that you'll drink loads. And it's like same with takeaways as well. It's not just about like, especially I know Chinese is my biggest problem. It's like what I eat constantly if I'm having a cheat day. And it's like that. It's not just the food that gets you as well. Like, I'm really bad for like sugary drinks, like really, really bad. Not so much now. I try and stay as much as I can to like sugar free, but they're still rubbish for you. But I can easily sometimes bosh 200-300 calories just on me drink, on me meal. Do you know what I mean? And it's all stems from the shite that we put in ourselves. Sorry for using a swear word, but the rubbish that we put on ourselves, it's not good for you. Like, it's not good. It makes you actually, like you said, more tired, more hungry, thirsty. Like, it's just a spiral of one piece of rubbish leads to more rubbish, which is kind of what is the world and the society is kind of done now, with programmed to make people fat, really, isn't it? Like, if you look at America especially, I think it's a world where we live in there. People want to make money. They don't care about health a lot of the time. And that's why it's probably easier now than it has ever been 10, 15, 25 years ago. Never mind 50, 60 years ago. But what I wanted to ask anyone is about the intermittent fasting and stuff like that. I heard a rumor that like after a certain time at night, you're not supposed to eat food. So like, have I just made that up, or is that like an
Jesus Christ.
thing? Like,
Yeah,
no, I've always had that in my
Me
brain.
deep.
I've always had like after 7 o'clock.
It's not
you're
right.
supposed to-
It's
is
calories
right,
in.
Dean.
It's calories in, calories out.
Not.
Well, I know that.
It
Definitely
is.
not.
Well,
100%
Oh.
is. I wish that guy
100%
was
not.
on, because we'll ask him. But
No.
if you eat 1,500 calories in one day, in the morning or spread across the day, or just before you go to bed, it's exactly the same.
well, surely your metabolism does slow down during like active sleep and stuff like that. Sorry, deep sleep and stuff like that. Surely there is a period where your body does slow its metabolism down. So if you are eating right before going to bed, you're digesting right before your metabolism starts dropping off. There must be some sort of
I know,
What I would say is, if
Go on.
you turned up to the Reese episode, Reese would have answered this question.
Well, I'll wait until the next one, and I'll ask that. I'll save it for the.
No, we should. We should actually ask all of these myth-busting type questions and get their opinion on them and stuff, which is great. Guys, I want to take the conversation slightly away from weight, though, actually, because I think we've focused a lot on that tonight, which is great, but equally around how you all are outside of weight. How are you mentally? How are you? How's life? Is there anything that's you're struggling with at all? Job, I'll put you on the spot straight away. You've got
Yeah, go
a
for it.
son very similar age to my son. I think there's only a few weeks in it, really, isn't there? So it's
Yeah.
it's tough, and I know there's things that I struggle with. How are you?
We can say that again. In terms of family life, amazing. Couldn't be
Yeah.
better family life wise. My son's just started saying dad, which is
The
unbelievable.
best.
All he says now is dad, 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 and that honestly lights my day up half the time. He was saying mom for so long as well. I was fuming. I've got a video. I'll have to show
He
you.
said mum. He said mum before dad.
Mom. He says actual mom, not mama. He says
Aye.
mom. I've got a
He's not
video.
from Plymouth Vines.
I'll put it.
Mum,
Mum.
I'll put it in the
mum,
chat afterwards. It's him going, "Mom," and I'm going, "No,
Food.
say dad, mom." But yeah, he's making my life at the moment. That's not even a joke. I know it sounds
Class.
cringy to say, and it's like, you know what I mean.
No,
No,
no, cool.
family's making us feel really good, but he really is. I suppose stress from work. I won't go into that. Like I am going through a really stressful time with work. My anxiety has been pretty bad at the moment. I've had quite a few attacks, and actually I've just recently started changing my CBT to actual therapy. There's a charity called Mind. You might have heard of Mind before, but I'm going through Mind in Washington for some therapy sessions just to see, because I've always had CBT from 16-year-old for this, back and forth between different counselors and stuff like that, and it's always focused on how to manage your anxiety and going forward, but none of it's ever been backwards. And sort of my counselor said, it was about 3-4 weeks ago before I went on holiday, like, we can work on what going forward, and we can work on the now and the coping mechanisms till you're 50, 60-year-old. But what happens if it's something deeper seated? Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
especially having, like you said, a young lad and everything like that, I'm really determined with the health and the mental health, especially, to like try anything. So my first session's actually tomorrow. So I will
Good
actually
luck, mate.
I'll let you boys know how it
Good luck,
goes.
pal.
good luck,
Yeah, good
buddy.
luck, mate.
I think it's gonna bring some past stuff up, I imagine. So bit nervous about that, but I don't know what anyone else got anything going on mentally or anything. I know you were talking a bit Lou, about, being a bit stressed and stuff like that, and obviously like being a father and stuff like that for the first time would be hard. Anything going on in
Yeah,
your world?
mate. Honestly, like yeah, I don't really know where to really talk about, like, or how to talk about it. Like, I just always feel like it's really bad, but I always just feel like a failure. And
Mm,
it's again, I know we're not too far from the end of the episode, so I don't want to go into it too much. But there's that part in my head where I just feel like I need to do more, be more. I'm not good enough, and there's all these
mm,
parts in the back of my head where I just feel that maybe I need to do more than I'm doing, and I don't know. I don't know.
mm.
There's a lot of self-discovery work going on at the moment around how I can. Because how do you be a good dad, good at work, a good partner, a great podcast host,
Mm-hmm,
run a football club, be
mm-hmm,
healthy in your mind, physically, have personal time, have social time, learn, like, educate yourself, have fun, watch football. Like, how do you do it all? And there's probably those parts in my head where I just
mm,
feel there's so much going on. But if I don't have so much going on, then I really struggle because then there's not enough to do. And yeah, we talked about this, Dean, before, and we talk about it on our runs. That it's, I'm pretty sure I have ADHD.
mm,
So there's, I have started that process of, I'm going down that journey and understanding how my brain works more. And a lot of my work is what you've alluded to be honest, Christian. It's the going backwards stuff to go
mm,
forwards, because I've done the today going forward stuff. I've done the going forward stuff.
mm-hmm.
I need to do the go backwards to understand myself a little bit more, to
Yeah.
because there's got to be a reason, and it could be I changed so many schools. I
Yeah.
don't have, because I've changed so many schools and I moved away from all my friends. consistently throughout my life? And then do you have trusted relationships with like people that you can really rely on? Or could it be the fact I failed at the one thing I really love, being trying to be a footballer? So then everything else I'm always trying to overachieve to make up for it, but then I failed, and I don't know. There's just lots of things, and I'm 30. I'm not 21 anymore. I can't afford to just keep making big mistakes in my life. There comes a point where you've got to get your shit together, and
Yeah.
I'm trying, but it's trying to do everything, and it's just hard.
I
That's
don't know if
being
it,
honest.
I don't know if it makes you feel any better, but just in an honest window here, you are a person I look up to a lot. Like, and definitely as someone who I kind of strive to be as driven as a lot of the time. Like, and
You
it's
shouldn't,
nice.
mate.
But no, do you know what? You have to give yourself a lot of credit as well, though, Lou, because you've said it. You listed so many things there that you're saying, I'm trying to be the perfect this and the perfect that and the perfect this. But you've got to give yourself a bit of leeway. Like, you're doing so much that what you do at the moment, it might not be perfect, but you're coping with all these different things that some people couldn't even do one of them, let alone 7 of them at the same time. Do you know what I mean? So I definitely think it's one of those things where you kind of have to put it in perspective of, you know, you may not be perfect, but you're certainly doing a lot and you're certainly doing well at it. I mean, from what I know I've only met him once, your son, but you seem a fantastic dad from what I can tell, and the way you speak about him, the way you go on about him, like,
Yeah,
I can't fault you from that perspective. And
yeah.
career wise and that, I know Ethan knows you a lot better than me, and he probably has his own opinion on that.
Yeah, so
Boys,
I think mine.
can we
Yeah,
just
sorry.
clarify? It doesn't need to be a blow smoke up my ass thing. It really
No,
doesn't.
I wasn't.
No, boys, I
No,
really appreciate it. But let's talk about you guys. We don't need to
no.
reflect on
Why,
mine.
why don't you
Honestly,
just
I
take
love
some
Well,
it.
praise, man?
I
It'll
just
make you
I
feel
take
better.
it.
I've just got a couple of things for me, like just personally for you, Vines. I think, you know, you as Joby said, you're being far too hard on yourself, mate. But I'm being honest, yeah, maybe it's too much for you.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say this from the bottom of my heart: you're doing a good job at everything, but are you doing a great job at everything? And no disrespect to you, you know, football's probably a hobby now. You're not going to make
Yeah.
a career. Um,
Yeah,
you're
I
not like
think you're right, mate. I think you're
you're
right.
you're not like me who's going to go to the Northern League next year. But
Yeah.
you know, and I think you know the podcast you're doing amazingly well. You know, there's a lot goes on behind the scenes. You and Joey put some amazing work in. You know, the rest, you know, slackers, little bitches. But you know, for me, I think I'm going to be honest. You're working for a company. You're not your own boss anymore, even though you technically are running your own department, which is new and exciting. But the one thing for me, which you've got to be great at, and you can't fuck up, is being a dad. So I think you've got to prioritize your work-life balance, which is all spoke about. I'm not going to blow
Yeah.
smoke with your ass, but you are a great dad. You know, I've had a shit dad. You've unfortunately had shit dad. I don't really know much about the rest of the gang. You know, and I would do anything to have the opportunity to have my dad in my life, but I wouldn't want him there who's going to half-ass it like you did the first time. So my advice to you, mate, is prioritize what's important. That's your lovely girlfriend, stroke fiance, stroke whatever. Your child, they have to be number one. You have to be number two. Look after yourself as number two. Then you've got to look and think career, podcast, football. But be careful how you're dividing your pie, mate, because you could end up with nothing left and you could burn out. You could do anything. So that's just my advice, mate. You
No, I
can
appreciate it,
tell
mate.
you can take and do what you want with it, but
I
you
take it.
know, I think you've just got to. But definitely just focus on you and focus on your child. That's what I would say.
No, I appreciate that a lot, mate. A lot. Like a lot. Truth. I think we need to go to someone else now because that was far too long on me. That definitely didn't need to happen. James, serious
Exactly.
question. How
Yeah.
are you finding life being 300 miles away, the north of Scotland, very remote to the real world? And equally, obviously, listeners will know you're married to my sister. that's tough. Gonna
How
be
he got the
honest.
job. That's how he got the job.
A good bit of nepotism never
Damn
hurt
right.
anyone. It's about
Yeah.
who you know, not what you know, innit, Jamesy boy?
That's it, mate. That's it.
No, no, serious question. How are you finding it? Because we've never really spoke about it. I can't
No.
imagine it's easy being away from everyone. Or it might
I'll be
easy.
honest. I do find it easy. I don't mind the when it
Cheers,
was
James.
when it,
Ethan, and how are you?
when it was hard is when obviously like before me and India were married and she wasn't living with me. That was like the hardest part. Like, obviously, I love seeing my friends, love seeing my family, but my main priority was going home and seeing India. Now that I don't have to, like, it's like
Do you mean
it's
don't
so
have to
much better.
stress
It's like,
about it? You still
yeah,
go home and see my sister.
yeah, but I still go home and I like to see my friends and that and my family, but I don't have to worry about it as much, you know.
Yeah.
So be the distance is it's fine with me as long as I'm with India. Like, and we want to move abroad as well, so we'll
Yeah.
be even further away. But like, as long as we're together, we're both in the same boat. But yeah, like mentally, like I did go through like a tough time at work. Like I was in Cyprus, and then I ended up getting my head kicked in. That was pretty bad. Like the police were
It was
involved.
bad as well, though, wasn't it? It was bad as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
What were like, James? Tell the story.
Hi, come on.
Alright,
You cheeky.
no, we just in this bar, and this lad who I didn't know, we were like dancing and that. I had like my arm around his shoulder, and he had his arm around mine and that. And then he just started like punching us in the stomach, and then he got us like in a bear hug, and I was just like, well, before the bear hug, I was just like laughing it off, and then he got me in the bear hug, and I was restricted, I couldn't move, so I was like, nah, like fuck this. So when I got out, like I've ended up whacking him a few times, and that should have been it. Like that should have been it. He's whacked me, I've whacked him. That's it, done. But his mate came over. He was a lot bigger than me. And yeah, I was like bottled. Like they were booting us when I was on the floor. There's a few of them. It took a lad who I didn't even like barely know to jump on top of me, and he was getting booted. So like that it was a bit shit because like the police and all that got involved. And they still kind of blamed me partly, which really pissed me off because I watched the CCTV like so many times, and all I did was defend myself. You know, like I even had like a lawyer. One of them was like a Greek lawyer, and then I had like a English lawyer when I was back in the UK, and like the outcome wasn't bad. It wasn't bad, but it could have been.
Yeah,
It could have like it could have been. So that was a bit shit. And then like my work, we were going to Vegas to work for a month, and originally I wasn't on the list for that. And like all this added up, I just felt like everything was against us, and I felt like really down. And like all my mates at work, like they all have like their conversations, and like sometimes I felt like I don't really know what you're talking about because I felt like I couldn't join in some conversations. So it was all in my head because like no one disliked me or anything, but it really felt like everyone was against me. I felt really shit, like proper bad. And like the Las Vegas, I tell India everything. And the Las Vegas thing, obviously, I'm a 24-year-old lad. I want to go to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure all you guys, if you haven't been before, like it's just something that everyone wants to do. They want to go to Las Vegas, and it was a month, and I was getting paid for it as well. So, and obviously India, we just moved in the house like 6 months beforehand. She's on her own; she doesn't really know anyone. And then if I was to go away for a month, she would have been totally alone. So I didn't want to come to her with that because I know how she would have felt. So that was like I was really like suffering in silence sort of thing. And I just came at like a point I was just like, yeah, I've got to tell you this. I'm not on the list to go to Las Vegas, and I really wanted to be. And she's like, nah, that's bang out of order. Like, you should be on that list. You should be going to Las Vegas. As much as she hated it, the fact of being on her own, like, she really like supported me through it. And like ever since then, like, it's been up. To be honest, like, I've put my notice in at work after the police incident, because I just thought how they see me to be blamer.
Yeah.
It was just total bollocks. They're not looking after us.
Did you tell
So
you
it's
you're a
like-
Macam?
Nah, mate, I didn't. But
I was thinking it might be in the decider, to be fair.
nah.
Nah, I'm only joking. It sounds horrible, mate. It sounds awful. to be
It
fair.
was up. I put my note. Oh, what's happening there? I put my notice in, and then like ever since then, I've been like, do you know what? Let's just be happy now. It's too easy to be miserable. Too easy to be down in the dumps. Everyone around you like gets on that like train as well. It's easy to bring other people down. So I try and be as happy as I can now. Like, I'm leaving. The end's near. So yeah.
Yeah, mate. And
It's-
do you know
it's
what?
better-
You're
it's better
looking at
now.
and you're looking at somewhere like Qatar or the Middle East, and you're just going to go and make a shitload of money.
Unreal.
So
That's the goal.
that's the goal, mate. You've got a wicked trade. You know your shit. You're smart as out. Yeah, you're going to smash it. So don't let little moments and blips in your life.
Yeah.
And that is a blip. And do you know what? Everything in life happens for a reason. I am such a big believer in that. That happened for you to leave this stage in your life, so the next chapter's even better.
Yeah.
Because you were thinking about it anyway. So it's the next
Yeah.
chapter's coming, and you're gonna smash it.
Yeah. Thanks,
Sounds like you've got a good woman there as well, like support.
Oh mate, she's class, you know. Like, and
she's
the
class.
thing is, right. I'll never find anyone who loves me as much as she loves me.
Love that, mate.
You know,
Serious question. How old were you when you got together? You were 13 and 14, weren't you?
she was 14, I was 15.
14, 15.
Yeah, it'll be 9 years next month.
Wow. Unreal.
Which is crazy for that sort of age, isn't it?
Yeah. Unreal.
Like, we've grown up together. You know what I mean? Like, we've been through like a lot of shit. Like, obviously we're both in school together, seeing each other every single day. And then I went to college, so we see each other a little bit less. I got my first job, see each other even less. It was less and less. And that job, I did what I do now, when I work away. So I was seeing her like for just only weekends, like every month sometimes. Maybe that's
for
not
like
be
a year
away
and a
for
bit, wasn't it?
yeah, and then I'll be away for months at a time, so I don't even see her then. So we've like molded to each other. Like, I think like
Love
we
that.
both like really suit each other. I think.
Do you know what? They're the being honest, they're the only couple I know, genuinely, out of everyone I've ever met in my life, who go out on the piss together properly. Like, they will go clubbing together, like they're two best mates. Most couples usually fall out.
Oh,
being honest. Being honest.
You tell me that, like I was gonna say.
Like, most couples usually fall out. Honestly, they buy each other shot. They try and get each other the most pissed they can get. It's like a competition. They are.
We went to Aberdeen a few months ago, and we did 14 shots each.
Bloody hell.
Wow.
Wow.
That makes me feel so ill.
Yeah, it's not
We're
good.
just old, darling. We're just old men now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
that's
We're
true.
Just kind of hack it. Not like these young bucks.
So, Dean, thanks for that, James. Really appreciate you opening up there. It's great for the listeners to actually equally get to know a bit more about you.
It's good for
your
us.
Story as well, because we haven't done that sort of intro with you properly yet as well, which was good. Dean, you are still. We touched it at the beginning. Fairly. I know you were married before, but we didn't get to the ceremony till the UK one anyway. How's life for you? How you touched on it briefly, but how are you generally where you are in your life and things?
Aye, all right, mate. There we are, the gang. I doing well, mate. Work's a bit getting shit. If I'm honest, targets are gone sky high.
Preach it, Dino.
Targets are gone sky high. They're announcing job cuts. You know, the more I start looking into the way AI looks to be going, and the more you start thinking about what that might mean for the future, the more
Mhm.
you start to worry and then think
Yeah.
about what more things could come. And, I do often dive into a little bit of a conspiracy, and it seems the more things that they were saying is going to happen seems to be coming. And then if you start to believe a little bit of it, you might start to believe all of it, and then it just gets on top of you. So I'm trying to remain as positive as I can be. But I'm just sort of weighing up my options at the minute. I really don't know.
Yeah.
I still don't know what I want to do when I finish school. And I'm at a point now where I really need to be making some sort of decisions on
Do you know you
on my
shouldn't be in
career.
schools? Yeah, like
No, I know. This is the thing. So I finished school, 15 years ago, 16 years ago now. And I still don't know what I want to do. But I just know that working in a call center is not, it's not a lasting job now. There'll be the first jobs to go if AI does take off. And so I'm just trying to weigh up what to do. But it's,
Dean, just for some perspective, though, mate.
Mhm.
I look at myself very much on a career. I still don't know what I want to do when I leave
Yeah.
school.
No, I know. Everybody says the same thing.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't
Yeah.
think you ever really do.
Nah. So I did the Save Share scheme during COVID for 3 years. So I pretty much guarantee that I wasn't going to leave EE or BT until August this year. So,
Yeah.
I'm still sort of up in the air about what to do. I like the job. The job's a good job. But I mean, I'll give you an example. They've just come today and said, "Oh, we're really sorry. I know you've already worked, a quarter of the month, but one of the guys didn't realize it was a 5-week month and not a 4-week month. So your targets need to go up by 25%." And it's like, well,
Wow.
so I've gone from looking like I was earning 1,500 quid to earning zero because I'm miles behind on one of the targets that I need to hit. So it's just stuff like that. It's just getting harder and harder and harder. They want more and more, and they're giving you
So
less and
true.
less. I mean, they're wanting you to make the company £600,000 and you're going to get paid 600 quid. And that's per agent, So it's a difficult one, but just like I say, I've got to make some decisions. I've never worried about it before. I've never even crossed my mind, But now I'm just starting to think to myself, I need to maybe think about what I do.
What I will say to any of you considering your career, the fact. So we've had so much huge feedback from this podcast, and if we're all really honest, we haven't really started, have we?
No,
To where this can go, we literally haven't really started. And the amount of feedback I've had from very, very senior people running some very, very big businesses saying that we're doing an amazing job. Even doing this means career-wise, okay, it might not pay you a wage today. It might not in a year, 2 years' time. One day you'll earn money from it, but the doors this will open because employers will hear you being so candid and open and honest and really genuine, nice people. People want to work with good people. So, yeah, use LinkedIn more, get yourself out there more, connect with a load of HR people, recruiters. You will find loads of opportunities. I am 100% confident.
I think with this, I find that the build up to the podcast, I'm like, and I'll probably get lynched for this, but I'm like,
Yeah.
podcast tonight. And then when I get on, I'm like, oh, it's actually wicked. I think I just build it up in my head. And then I'm like, sort of, I'm in an ahhing about it and that. And then I get on, I'm like, actually, it sounds
busy lives, isn't it?
We just need to be more consistent with it, don't we? I think once that comes, again, probably because this is my first podcast back for 4 or 5 weeks as well.
But
so
mate,
it's like that first day back
I've
at
been on
work sort of
holiday.
thing,
You've been on holiday. Joe's been on holiday.
Yeah.
So there's been lots of things.
I think we'll get there, but yeah, you're right. We just need to step up and be a little bit more consistent.
And your job might not be in sales. Remember that your job could be working in any other role for any other business. So don't limit to yourself to the roles that you've done.
I've got no skills. I didn't go to
That's
university.
what I feel
Got
like.
no college degree.
I didn't go to university.
Yeah, that is a good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah, but didn't you get like a tail roll and then a thingy? Like now to get a tail roll, you've got to come off the phones for 2 years and do an Aspire course, and then you don't even get a job at the end of it.
Yeah, you did hit gold at the time, like Lou. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like it got so much harder after.
We're not going to talk about how Job, we know, you definitely know. I was in
Oh
every
no, I know it's
Saturday and
all you.
Sunday.
Yeah, I know it's,
No, no,
it's you.
I
It
did
doesn't
not
work
get
like that
given
now,
this.
though. Like
But
you
it
could
didn't
do every
work like that
Saturday,
then.
Sunday if you want. Yeah. Well, I don't
No,
know.
no,
Maybe.
no.
People
Dean, I
complained at
wasn't.
how quick Lou, like there was
Dean, I wasn't
managers
getting
that were like,
paid. Dean, I wasn't getting paid. I was going in on a Saturday and Sunday just to learn,
Mm.
unpaid, 8 hours a day, learning,
You are
shadowing, writing
so
training, writing coaching sessions, writing like anything to get
the
ahead.
newsletter.
Mm.
I did a newsletter for the whole company
Mhm.
just
I
because
was
I
on
was
that.
trying to progress. And Job was on it, yeah.
I was. I'm still on
I
the
know.
phone.
But that's why sales for me though, it's one of them things where if you're good at sales, you can get more money. So you can earn. There's not many jobs where I could. I don't think there's any jobs that I could get what I earned last year.
See, that's my problem. That's how I feel at the moment.
Not in 1 year. So I took a hit. I took a hit when I became a team leader. I then took a sideways step, took a slight hit, then another slight up, and then an up, and then an up. So yeah, you have to take. You generally drop because you're a commission type role and up. But anyway, we can talk about that offline anytime. We'll talk about it on our run tomorrow. We can have a proper career chat.
Yeah, okay.
Ethan, how are you? I suppose one question I have for you, mate, and it's one thing I struggled with when I was in your situation. How do you find living by yourself?
Yeah, mate, it is tough. Don't get us wrong. I mean, there's I'm up and down, similar to everyone else. You know, James, I appreciate you opening up. I mean, I preferred the Claire story a bit better, where your girlfriend and you split 4 Claires. But you know, I appreciate you opening up for once.
Cheers, man.
You know, I appreciate this pity party we're all having right now. So I thought I'd have my pity say. But you know, like I think for me personally, I'm training harder than I have for years. My back is still really bad, but I'm still able to train. My diet is getting there, but it's not ideal. The weight's struggling to come off. I was dating someone recently. She was a lovely, like a really nice girl, sweetheart, but things didn't end very well, which involved my ex. So, you know, it's been a weird time for me because things were on the up. You know, I was training hard, I was losing the weight, I had a lovely girl in my life. Then all of a sudden, I've gone to struggling with me diet. I'm still training hard, but I'm no longer seeing that girl. And like you say, Bindy, I live alone. You know, and as summer comes in, I think that's where it hits the most. So winter, I'm very much. I get up. I go. Oh, cool, James. Thank you. I had to listen to your shit when you were talking. Thanks for leaving. When you were telling your stories about your
I'm still
fucking
listening. Don't worry.
fucking Claire boy.
That's where he's going.
And I was going to get the last of Claire for India does. You know, so during the winter, I get up, I train, go to work, come home, go to sleep. It's very a dark time. It's dark for everyone. You know, there's no sun, things like that. In summer, I think I miss actually people more. So I'm the opposite. You know how all this thing on Instagram about hot girl summer. You know, you want to be single and flirt and things like that. I think I'm the opposite. I want someone in summer so I can go on hikes with. You know, I can go do stuff. You go axe throwing, mini golf, go just even down the beach with someone. You know what I mean? Because there's only so many times. Now I'm going to say their names again. There's only so many times that you can ask Rob and Ryan to go down the beach before they start getting a bit weird. They're like,
You need a counter for it.
no, they're like, fucking hell. You've asked us to go down the beach 5 times this week. Do you fancy us or something? You know, so
And the answer is yes, you do.
the answer is yes, I do.
They are two very good-looking blokes, though. I will say they are both.
Oh, definitely.
Great
I've only
looking
seen
lads.
the tattoos. Which one's that one?
Rob.
He's
Ryan's.
Rob.
I think Ryan's better looking than
Good
Rob.
looking. Oh, really?
Sorry, Rob.
Rob,
Ryan's
good.
a stud.
I think I'm better looking than the pair of them. If I wasn't fat, I'd be
He's
the
not.
best looking lad around.
You're not, mate.
Mate, I am really good looking. You said I'm good looking for years. You said to me,
You are
for years,
good looking.
If I
You are
wasn't
good
fat,
looking.
I'd be good looking.
Mate, I've never said you weren't. If you weren't fat, I've said you're good looking.
But if I wasn't fat,
Rob
I'd
and
be
Ryan,
better.
yeah, you. But if I wasn't fat, I'd be better.
I don't know, like Mr. 15% body fat.
Mr. 50% body fat.
Is that them
Yeah.
skills, Lou?
And
Yeah, some
get them
scales.
scales off your phone. My phone tells how much out.
Actually, I am lying because I did check, and I'm 17. I'm 17, so I'm lying.
Oh, brilliant! What did you stand on your phone? I tell you.
Now I have scales that tell me, mate.
How was the eclair,
Okay.
James?
How's the
Oh, he's actually got it.
There up.
He has got it.
I'm gonna go and get my
That'll be
shepherd's
done.
pie in a minute.
All in one. All in one.
What a way to end the podcast, boys.
Sorry, half gone.
Actually, before we end, I actually have a question for every single one, but just a quick fire one.
All right.
What does everyone see themselves like? What is your ideal life in 5 years?
Oh, fuck.
Like, I don't want you to go
said it was a
too
quick
deep.
fire one.
No, that's what I'm saying. Not too deep. I don't want you to go like deep, but like easy. Where's yourself? Health, career, aspiration. Like three points.
Who are you asking first?
You know what? I'll kick it off so you kind of get an idea. For me, I would love to be another 4 or 5 stone down. So I'm going to commit 5 stone because I would love to be a little slender. 5 stone down. Maybe another addition to the family. That would be an aspiration. Just finishing off the little crew
Job
that I've
gang.
got at the moment. Exactly. And then career-wise, I'd love to find something that just makes us happy. You know, like if I in 5 years' time can look back at this moment and say, I am genuinely happy with my career, that is my 3 goals for 5 years' time. And I'll pass the baton on to Luke because he's to the left of us on my screen. So
To who? Sorry.
you, Ludo.
5 years time. Really deep one. I want to find some peace in my own head with
Love
some of
that.
the things I was saying before.
Mhm.
Maybe stop holding because I honestly battle with myself every day. So yeah, I definitely want to find some peace. I want to feel content generally in my life because I never really do. So I want to find that place in my life where I'm not looking for the next thing. I'm not trying to do something else. I'm just happy with what I have, where I'm at. Like, I want to get to that place, and I want it way quicker than 5 years. There's the problem. Like I want to find a place where mentally I'm at peace and calm versus my brain always being at, because it's always at 1,000 miles per hour.
Yeah.
And with that will come family, blah blah blah. I still want all of those things, obviously, but I think that will make me be more present.
Love that. Love that.
Let's go with James.
In 5 years, I'll be about 30-year-old. So
Prick.
I'll be old as
You'll be
fuck.
29. You'll be 29 in 5 years.
I know, I will. I want to be comfortable, money wise. I want to have like a decent, stable career where I'm earning enough money where I'm not living like paycheck to paycheck. A little bit
So
of
you
traveling.
need about 40 grand a month with my sister, yeah?
Yeah, and the rest. That just goes on Eclairs.
I was gonna say the prices went up in Tesco's these days.
I'd like to do like some traveling. 5 years time, yeah. Hopefully have a kid by then as well.
Yeah, make me another uncle.
Yeah, that'd
Logan's
be
baby was cute.
that'd be great. Yeah, not thought too much about it, but yeah, a stable career in a company where I can work my way up.
Love that.
And just be comfortable and have a mortgage and a house.
Yeah,
that's the main one.
Pass it on to.
We'll go Ethan.
I'll just be happy to be alive. To be honest with you, that's all I'm bothered about.
Wow.
I don't think you mean that.
Wow.
I don't think you mean that.
I'm fucking tired, me. I'm just tired.
You're just tired tonight.
I don't know. I've partied too hard. I've too many drugs, women, alcohol, food. If I make 35, I'll be happy. By choice or by no choice, but we'll see. What about you, Dean?
Hang on, are we actually going to let Ethan get away with that
Aye,
shit
and
answer? I think you're going to have to flip that back and give us some depth there.
No, I don't know. Like, you don't really know what's around the corner. You know,
Do you want
Like
to
I
settle
say-
down?
What would your
in
ideal life
5
look
years'
like?
time?
Yeah.
I just want to be alive. That's all I'm saying. I don't think I'll be here in 5 years, but
You will
if
be.
I was, if I was, I would like to. I don't know. I think I would still be fat, and I'd
No, you
probably
won't
still
be.
be trying. I'd still be trying to lose weight.
Do
But
you think you'll have a? Do you think you'll have a missus and live with a missus in 5 years?
nah, I don't think I will. I think I
you
should
think
have
you ever
married
will?
this. There's two girls I should have married, and I didn't. And I think I
Player.
blew me chance, and I blew me chance. So I think I'm not really fussed. Fuck it. What can I say? It's one of those. I think if you don't appreciate what you've got, like it's that song, and if you don't appreciate what you got, then you know. And like I said, I've had
What's that
two.
song?
Fuck man, that's what that song is. It's something by
think
Bass
it's-
Hunter, isn't it?
Now
You're
you're
gone.
I realize my love to you is strong.
Is it that one?
That's a
Yeah,
tune.
that's it. But yeah, no,
James
I think
isn't old enough
that's-
to know what that is.
No,
Exactly.
I do know that one. That is a tune.
By the way, who invited James? Rumbling in that we're 30 and he's 29 in 5 years.
Yeah, prick.
But
He's
yeah, what about
29
you,
in 5
Dean?
years, by the way.
He's
Yeah,
28.
29. I'll not even be your age by then.
Oh, right.
Jesus
Get him moved
Christ.
on. Dino.
Right.
Yeah, but you
Dean.
guys have got the wisdom. Come on.
Don't know about that.
Um,
He's got the 15% body fat.
In 5 years.
In 5 years.
I would like to, in 5 years, potentially have my own business where I'm working for myself. I haven't quite figured out what yet. I've got a couple of ideas.
Running
Something
the podcast.
where, yeah, potentially, yeah. That would be something where I can work, like, say, 5 to 6 hours a day, like max. You can do it at any point throughout the day. You know, I can get up in the morning, I can go for a run, I can go to the gym, sit in a sauna, go for a swim, you know, drop the kids off at school, whatever. Come back, do a little bit of work, pick the kids up, do what I need to do. Probably playing over 35s football by then.
That's 2 years, isn't it?
Well, yeah, 2 years in February. But that'd probably be my ideal life, really. Just something where I can just chill.
So
Just
you can have kids then?
yeah, we're trying at the minute. So we should wrap up. Like,
She's
well,
getting-
I
she's shouting
shouldn't
down.
wrap up if we want kids, but yeah, yeah. I mean, we're trying to not argue so that we can, you know, try for a baby. Because if we have an argument, she uses that as punishment. Even though she wants a baby, she punishes me by not letting her have a baby. It makes no sense. I don't know. It doesn't even make sense as I say it now. But I think that would be probably sound for me, something like that. Just don't want to. I just want to get out of the 9 to 5, working. Even like I would take a pay. I would happily take like a pay cut, 10, 15 grand less than what I get paid now, if it meant working 5-6 hours a day for myself. So I think it is something that is achievable. It's just sort of working it out, and you know, I'll get a bit of money off the shares, and I'm just sort of still dotting the I's, crossing the T's as to sort of what it is that I want to do. Still don't have a full idea, but you know, it's got a bit of time to think about it. So, aye.
Yeah. Well, boys, that has been a cracking episode for a not expected one tonight. That has been probably my favourite one yet, actually. I think.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really
really
enjoyed that. So, boys, thank you very much. Anything anyone wants to say before we end the pod?
Does Ethan want to do a
No.
See No Evil, Hear No Evil for
Go
one
on.
of the guests that haven't done one yet?
You could be the guest.
Who's going to be the guest? Who haven't we done?
You.
I haven't been.
in.
James,
I
I've
haven't
done
been.
one.
Lewis.
It wasn't.
Ah.
I'm gonna say, go on then, James. Give us something. Hear no evil or see no evil.
I've done one. I've done one.
You
Go-
said
go
you
on,
didn't do
Lewis,
one.
I just said I've done
He
one.
did. He did.
What the? Oh well, it shows how tired I am. Vindy.
I'll go with a book. My book is one that I would definitely recommend you all read, especially where a few of you are struggling with what you want to do in your life. It's called Start With Why by Simon Sinek. It's all about purpose. So he talks about a principle called the Golden Circle. James, you've read it, didn't you?
Yeah.
It talks about the Golden Circle, which is essentially 3 principles. So you have what, how, and why. So if you think loads of us know what to do, we might even know how to do it. So you think about your job, you know what to do when you go to work, you know how to do it. But how many of you know why you go and do the job that you do? Just for money. If it's just for money, you're probably not feeling very fulfilled. If it's because you really enjoy it, you're learning, you're progressing, you're getting the social aspect out of it, you see a future in it, then maybe that's where your whys are. And it's about aligning your whys to, or your purpose to your whys and your actions and the things you do. But equally, you can sort of transfer that to your relationships with people, even the employer that you work with. So you can do like an analysis on the employer you work with. Are they a good company or not? What they do, yes, everyone can describe what their employer does, describe how they do it. But if a company's vision and values don't align to their why, then are you probably working for a company that is going to be here in 10, 15, 20 years' time? If their why isn't clear, they're probably not going to be here. So there's loads of learnings from that. And it's definitely the most profound book for me. And it's one that I read probably once a year and I have done for a number of years now, just to keep that clear. Yeah, have that clear. Honestly, mate, it's life-changing. And it definitely was for me. So absolutely recommend Simon Sinek. Ethan, happy to lend you it if you want to read it. Dean's like, fuck's sake, I've just bought it. But yeah, I would have definitely lent you it. But yeah, definitely Start With Why by Simon Sinek.
Do you think I can't read or something? What's
Yeah, Joe, I don't think you read, but if you read, you can read it.
Just colour and
read the messages in the chat.
Just colour and And on that bombshell, I think we will end tonight's episode. We've been the Everyman.
Shepherd's pie.
Catch you later.
Shepherd's pie. Right.
Bye, everyone.
Good one, mate. See you later. Bye.
Let's go. Time to grind, get inside your mind. Yeah, we working overtime. That's the only way to climb. We gon' make it in our prime. Signing on the dotted line, cashing checks left and right. That's the way I'm living life.